Hi everybody, this is Judy from Judy Art Studio, and I am here to do a tutorial for you today on how to get started with alcohol ink. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you what I'm going to be using and just give you a little bit of information on how to start with alcohol inks. They are a lot of fun. They are a different medium. If you've ever used watercolor, they're very similar to watercolor, but they don't blend with each other. They like to repel each other. So you really need to learn how to blend them together to get a really cool product. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start out with some very quick, easy, basic things that you either can get around your house or you can get for cheap. So you're going to want something on your surface. This is a puppy pad. I got it at the dollar store. They come in packs 3 for $1, so they're 33 cents a piece. I need to replace this one, so I need to go to the dollar store and get some more. I've put a paper towel on top of it just to help soak up some of the inks that fall down through. I'm on a Lazy Susan, so I can move if I want to. I will not be using this per se for this tutorial, but it is pretty convenient to have if I'm working on a towel and I want to spin it around. I am going to be using isopropyl alcohol. This is 99%. I got it online. You can get it at a lot of art stores. Walgreens sometimes carries it. Walmart carries it. You can also use 91% isopropyl alcohol, which I know they have at Walgreens. And if you have a Rite Aid or a CVS, I don't know if CVS are even around anymore, you can get that there. I got these little bottles on Amazon. They're little nose tipped. I've got these as well. These have got a smaller tip to them. You can use either one, or you can just use like an eyedropper to put your alcohol on if you want to, if you have one. Or you can even dab a paintbrush into a little bit of alcohol and put that on if you want to as well. So there's a couple of things that you can do. I also have some basic alcohol inks. I use both Jacquard Pinata inks and I use Tim Holtz Ranger inks. Ranger inks come with usually in a set of 3. You can buy them individually, but generally you'll find them in packs of 3. I know I get mine at AC Moore. You can order them online. I order sometimes directly from Tim Holtz. They have an awesome loyalty program. So I'm going to be working with 2 colors today, but I want to show you the pack that these 3 colors come in. You have Wild Plum, which is my all-time favorite color. It's a purplish, magenta, pinkish color, depending on how much alcohol you use with it and what you blend it with. This comes with butterscotch and stream in the package. So the butterscotch is going to come out like a yellow color, like you can see on the label. And the stream comes out as like a bluish green. Now, one thing I found out with this pack, I love all 3 of these colors, and generally Tim Holtz will package the colors so they blend together, but if you use all 3 of these together, you'll get like a brownish color. So you can use the Wild Plum and the butterscotch together, and you get a pinkish orange when they blend. You can use the Wild Plum with the stream, and you'll get a very deep purple when they blend. And you can use the stream and the butterscotch, and you'll get a greenish color when they blend. If you do use all 3 of them, you may get a muddy color because purple, which would be these 2 combined, and yellow will make a brown. So some people like that. I personally like to stay away from it when I'm doing coasters. I like nice bright colors on my coasters. So I'm going to be using the Wild Plum and the butterscotch for my inks. And then I'm going to be using a mixative from Pinata, which is my favorite metallic, and this is Pinata Brass. Pinata also makes a beautiful gold. Tim Holtz makes mixatives that are goldish in color as well. This is a copper. This one is, I believe, a gold. I just like how this one blends better, but again, I haven't had as much experience with the Tim Holtz mixatives. Maybe if I played with them more, I might be able to get them to do cooler things. I just need to practice. This one is so easy to use that I use this one all the time. Again, this is 99% alcohol to use to blend, And this is alcohol blending solution, which you can use. I probably will not use it today. This is a 99-cent tile that I got at Lowe's. You can get them by themselves or you can get them in packages. This one happened to come by itself. And I think, yeah, it was 19 cents. You can order them online. You can order a whole case of them for like $19. And then I have this little hair dryer. You can use a bigger one if you want. I've got this tiny little one just because it takes up less space on my studio. So let's get going. One thing you need to know is that alcohol inks, as I said, will push each other away. They'll repel. So our goal is going to be to have something like this when we're done, which is a coaster with these colors on it with a little bit of brass. So we're going to start with a wild plum, and I'm going to lay down a little bit of alcohol first. Cool thing about alcohol ink is that it will go where the alcohol that you previously laid down already is. That's where it will naturally go. So I'm going to lay down just a little bit of a dot in the center, spread it out a little, and I'm going to put a little bit of the plum on, and don't worry about the little splatters because those will be covered. And I'm going to put a little bit of the brass in. Now the brass, you can hear there's a little ball in it. The metal will stick to the sides, so you want to give it a good shake before you start. You only need to shake it once though. And you can see I'm sort of going downhill this way. Probably because my hair dryer is there. So I'm going to put a dab of the brass in. And then I'm going to use my hair dryer on low. Put a little bit more right there so that one doesn't dry while we're working with it. And I'm just going to blow them around together. Now you have to be careful. You don't want to put too much pressure. So I usually blow from the edge off. And all the way around. A little more alcohol on, just to get that brass activated a little bit. I have to remember to move my hairdryer away. And you can see as I'm using the alcohol on the brass, it moves the brass around. Still got quite a bit of alcohol in the middle, and so I'm going to put a little bit of butterscotch in there. And again, another little drop of brass. And a little bit of the isopropyl alcohol on top of that, just to keep that brass moving around. You can play with how you want the air to move the inks, and I suggest if you're just learning how to use the inks, experiment. Try coming in from the side, see what it does. Try coming down from the top, directly from the top, and see what it does. Just move them around. Have fun. Now I've got a big hole in the center where I moved that the butterscotch out, so I'm going to put a touch of plum in there. And I'm just going to, I've got enough brass on there right now. I'm just going to put a little bit of alcohol just to help move it around. Now watch, when I put that alcohol on, watch what happens. See how it pushes that ink right away? It thins it out. Alcohol repels the alcohol inks, and that's what makes them so much fun, is to learn how to use them. I'm going to put another dab right on top to separate that brass out. See how that separated the brass right out? It's time for a little bit more butterscotch. I'm going to use some, I think, over here. I'm going to turn the tile and put a dab right in here. Put a little bit of that brass, just a tiny little drop. Doesn't take much. And then put some alcohol on top. And I think I'm going to put some plum on top of that, just to see if I can get them to mix a little bit better together. Look at that. Look at all that movement. Isn't that cool? You can see them like reacting and moving with each other. Now, if you can see, I'm not really happy with my side right now. It's really thin, but I can go back and fix that, and I'm going to be fixing that later. I also don't know if you saw or not, you've got to be really attentive. When I put the plum out the last time, I had a little drop right here, and again, it repels the ink, so it makes a little circle right there. So I'm going to try to go back and fix that right now, because I really like those ridge lines right there from the brass. Another little drop in there to see if I can fix that. Maybe a little bit more brass. And then, oh, and then a little alcohol ink. A little bit of alcohol. The whole purpose of the brass when I'm making these is to make it look sort of like marble, like we've got veins running throughout the whole tile, the whole coaster. All right. I like that. There's no brass on the top there, so I'm going to add just a tad. And then I'm going to go back and fix over here on the edges. You can see where the alcohol has sort of gone down over the side. It's left like lines. And that's not really too pleasing to me. I don't really like that effect. So I'm going to fix this first, and I'll go fix that side. Okay, and I'm still not happy with my edges, especially this line right here and these lines all the way around. So easiest fix for that is to go right onto the edge with your alcohol ink, like maybe right where that line is. Just work the colors from here. You can already see them spreading and getting rid of that line. Sometimes the top of those get clogged because of the metallics in it. Not happy with that. And I'm not happy with this square right here. In nature, you rarely have 90-degree angles, and that's actually really too close to a 90-degree angle for me, like this is here. I'm going to put the butterscotch on this time, though. I get carried away with wild plum because I love it so much. Now, I don't know if you saw, the brass sinks, but the minute it starts to move, it comes right back to the surface. I can even use gravity to sort of get rid of that. Because the brass is thicker than the inks, the brass will make little ridge lines, and unless you use alcohol, you can't get over them. There, that looks better. So I'm going to fix this little area right here and this little area right here, and then I'm going to call it good. It's really easy to overplay with these inks because they're so much fun, and then, I mean, they want to do their own thing. So a lot of times you just want to keep playing with them because they don't want to do what you want them to do. All right, I'm going to stop. Again, I could play and play and play. So I'm going to let this dry for, doesn't have to be very long. Alcohol inks dry out really quickly. If it dries out and you still want to play with it, you simply reactivate it by using the alcohol, and it will start the inks active again, so they'll move for you. But I'm going to let this dry. That's the whole key to this, is learning not to do too much. And after this is dried, I'm going to show you how we're going to treat it so you can save your tiles so they will stay good for years and years and years to come. I'll be right back.